Good evening, everyone. Petman Matt Mara here. Welcome to CFI's Playoff Bracket Special, sponsored by Body Armor, one of our great partners that we have a great relationship with. Body Armor quenches your thirst, soothes your soul. Get yourself a fresh Body Armor today, and you'll be a happier person with that in your life. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go through the brackets like we talked about. And we'll see if any of the crew wants to get on. I know it's Saturday night. I know a lot of people are out and about having a good time, probably going to Halloween haunted houses and, maybe doing some pre-trick-or-treating because it's Saturday night. Although CMS schools are out Monday, so it might be a little bit of partying going on Sunday night with some of you students. But that being said, we got important things to discuss, and that is the playoff brackets. And these have been released. They are final. It went final around 2:30 p.m. this afternoon, and we've got some really interesting matchups to discuss for sure. I'm going to make that bracket bigger because I know some of y'all can't really see that, but we got a couple comments already. This is not silk. It just looks like it. It just looks silky Saturdays. Okay. Well, that's something, I guess. But I promise you, it's just a little shiny. That's all. Definitely not silk. So let me make this a little bigger, and we'll go ahead and get started on looking at some of these matchups. So we are focusing on the West in this show. So everything's gonna be focused on the West. I mean, we'll be able to see the Eastern matchups, but we're definitely focused on the West here. So first off, before I get started, there's a couple things that have come about on social media I've been seeing all day long, and we'll probably talk about this more on the regular show on Wednesday night, Football Focus Weekly. But a couple teams that I felt like should have got in. Of course, I talked about Olympic with the tough losses to Myers Park, South Mech, and Archie Kell. By 1 point, 2 points, and 4 points respectively. I feel like they were, definitely playoff caliber. And there's a story that'll be out by Joe Hughes of the Gastonia Gazette, who does a great job. Mountain Island Charter is not in the playoffs. There's a situation involving an altercation that happened in their game against Carver, and I've seen video, and it's very similar to what Rocky River and Independence went through a couple years ago. I just have this very strong opinion, and like I said a couple years ago with that situation with Rocky River and Independence, we got to find a better way to discipline kids. Taking away a season where 95% of the team does what they're supposed to do, they should not be penalized for that. Penalize the kids that caused the issue and then move on. This was a situation where it was only a couple of kids that did nothing but come off the sideline. It wasn't a big, crazy situation like we've seen in some other cases. It's not right. It's just not right. And you guys know by now I'm all about, fairness and equality. And we've got to find a better way. Because especially in 1A, where everyone, we're going to see in a minute, everyone gets in the playoffs, no matter what your record is, basically. And it's just not right, man. It doesn't sit well with me. And I'll stand behind that. But make sure when Joe gets that story out on social media, check it out. And I feel for those kids. I'm close. I'm closer with some of the Mountain Island kids. They've been coming to our camp for the past 2 years. Really great kids over there, and it's a team that didn't have a lot of top level superstar guys like they may have had in the past, and to get it taken away based off of what I saw is really deplorable, to be honest with you. So, And then the North Stanley situation. Kenneth has really been talking about that today on Twitter. Apparently, they're the only team in their conference that didn't get in. That same team that beat Mount Pleasant last week in an impressive fashion. And I haven't looked in their situation in total, but apparently it was something with the RPI or something along those lines. But just if you're handling good teams, you deserve to be in the playoffs. And like I said, I don't know their situation. I'm sure Kenneth could speak to that a little more in detail, but we'll get into those three cases especially on the big show on Wednesday night. And Big Shelby, they didn't make it, but like I said, Joe will have that story coming out soon. It's deplorable. I can't stand that. Okay, well, let's get into the brackets. That's why you guys are watching. Hey, what's up, Kyle? In from work. No, that's what I'm talking about, boy. That's real dedication right there. And yet you did drain the lake. Yeah, we'll save that for the rapid review next week. All right, into these brackets, man. Phil. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that just from what I've seen and what I know about and what I've heard, they deserve to be there. Absolutely. All right, so and we're starting with 4A West. The 132 matchup, we got Huff versus Paige. And you see Huff 10-0 and Paige is 4-6 on the season. When you first start thinking about this matchup, man, obviously Huff rolling right now. They just won big over Hopewell last night. And this is just getting it started for these guys. The main thing they want to do right here is stay healthy. They got, great talent across the board. You look at every position. They got a guy or two guys at every position that you should know that can play college level football, that, are probably one of the best in their conference at that position. They don't have many weaknesses. For Paige here, you got to just, hopefully, number one, hope that Huff is not on their A game, and then maybe they're looking past you to what's coming down the line. But, secondly, just let it all hang out, man. 4-6, usually, 4-6, you're not thinking about, playoffs. You're thinking about getting ready for the off season. But, they got a shot, they got in, and you just go down there and let it hang out, man. Honestly, that's my opinion on that. I'm not going to go too deep on most of these because, we'll pick out our matchups we really want to focus on for Football Focus Weekly and Between the Lines next week. So, 16-17, we got South Meck hosting West Forsyth. So the winner of Huff Paige would play the winner of South Meck West Forsyth. A lot of people felt like South Meck should be a higher seed. There were some deals with the RPI. I think we're involved with that. They got actually the third spot out of the conference based on the RPI seeding. RGKL got the first spot, and then Myers Park got the second spot, and then South Meck got the third spot. I saw some of South Meck last night, and they were hugely impressive against Harding. So West Forsyth, real quick, we'll take a look at let's see. West Forsyth's 5-4, and then South Meck is 8-2. So definitely the way the South Meck's rolling, coming off the big win against Myers Park, and then really rolling through Harding last week. I gotta like South Meck at first glance here. Now we go to the next section of the bracket. We got Butler at the 8 seed, hosting number 25 Mallard Creek. And this is great. It's a traditional big time rivalry, being reborn in the playoffs. And these guys have, of course, playoff history. Of course, that was in the Paul Mary days when he was at Mallard Creek. We look at this version. Butler is playing some really good football. Their offense is really starting to come together. Of course, with Xavier Brower pulling the trigger. I think he's much improved, like I've said. Former Mallard Creek quarterback, there's a little storyline right there. And Trayvon Tinsley, like I said, is probably one of the best players a lot of people don't know about for Butler. It'll be exciting. It'll be exciting. It's always great to have a Butler-Mallard Creek matchup. To have it in the playoffs, I think it's special. Hopefully some alumni will come back and maybe that'll get a little energy, generated, a little extra energy generated for this matchup. The winner of that game is going to go on to face number 9 Asheville or number 24 Davie. And what we know about Davie County is they've got a lot of offensive firepower. Some of that kind of slowed down toward the end of the season. They started out the season really lighting people up, but I guess as competition got a little tougher, points came a little harder to come by. What we know about Asheville is Asheville played Kings Mountain really tough, big 3A, pretty good team in that section, but Kings Mountain did defeat Asheville in Asheville earlier this season, so it gives you an idea. 2 pretty good teams, for sure. Asheville hosting that game. Davie got to go to the mountains. That's a pretty good trip in the first round. All right. Next matchup we're going to look at. This is an interesting game right here. We got number 5 Glenn hosting number 28 Providence. Now, Providence, not your typical, well, there is no typical 28 seed. It's the first time we've had one before. But they're not your typical low seed in the playoffs. They played some tough teams close earlier in the season, and then as the schedule kind of balanced out, we saw them, start winning some games. The biggest thing in this one is how well does Glenn stop the run? We know Providence is going to, run that football behind that big offensive line. Jamar Price will get a lot of touches. We saw Luke Bailey run the ball as the primary running back last night and had a huge game with 271 yards on the ground. So that's a nice little element that, Coach Ward may lean on a little bit as well. So Glenn, we know, is an athletic team. They've got a lot of seniors. Last year in the playoffs, they lost at home in the first round to Butler big time. So they don't want that to happen again. They're going to have a fire in their belly to not let Charlotte come in their house and end their season once again. So I think that's going to be a really good matchup to watch. I think a key for Providence defense is they got to get to that talented quarterback. I believe his name's Coleman for Glenn. Really talented kid. They got some athletes on the outside. That's going to be a big factor there. All right. The winner of that game will take on number 12 Myers Park or number 21 Mooresville. Mooresville traveling to Myers Park. Mooresville winning that number 2 seed out of the Greater Metro 4 last night with their victory over Lake Norman. And then Myers Park getting this seed really based off of their victory over Olympic, a hard-fought game, 14-10. They were able to win last night. So we know the deal with Myers Park. Ever since Kamarion Man Thornton at receiver has gone down, they have struggled on offense. They have, done enough to win games, but outside of the second half against Harding, I haven't seen a real explosion on that side of the football. So a little bit more methodical, a little bit more possession-based, more so than the explosive big plays that Lucas Linhoff and those guys, were used to earlier in the season. For Mooresville, now Myers Park, for their struggles on offense, their defense has really picked it up, and their defense is playing really, really good football. I mean, you look at Jaden Scott, who is a very talented safety, making a lot of plays on that side of the football. Deems May, big-time defensive end. I think he picked up an offer from Gardner Webb recently. Congratulations to him on that. So those are some guys that that Mooresville's going to have to account for when they have the football on offense. We know Mooresville does really well with Howell at the running back spot. Myers Park's going to have to find a way to block Booker on the D-line for Mooresville. He's having a really strong sophomore season, really kind of coming into his own. And then Davin Reed, the receiver, just committed to Campbell. Congratulations to him. Great kid. He's a speed threat that Myers Park's going to have to account for in the passing game on defense. All right, so two really good matchups right there. Okay, we got some comments. Oh, man, 33 people. When I clicked off, I've been looking at the bracket screen, and I come back to the comment screen and went from 10 to 33. So we got some comments here. Let's address these before we move on. Paige is sneaky. I don't think they'll beat Huff, but they have really good athletes, good size, and battle-tested in a strong conference. Closer than expected. Well, that's why I said, if Huff takes them lightly, I could see that possibility happening. But Huff has all those things also. So that'll be good stuff right there. Let's see. Miss Belt checking in, but we have to watch the penalties like they got against Indy. Yeah, I'm sure those are things that Coach Hells are definitely lit to clean up for sure. Let's see. Feels like Davie will go upset Asheville. Possibly. We have that narrative about, athletes going to the mountains against mountain teams. Now, I think some of that has changed because we've seen the mountain pick up the spread in some places too, like Ashe County, for example. They run a nice version of the spread up there. So, possibly, I have to dig into that matchup a little more. And then also, Kyle is hoping for a Providence-Mooresville rematch. Okay, well, naturally, as a Mooresville fan, I get that. Markel Riley checking in. Huff, Chambers, Grimsley, Butler are the top 4 teams coming out of the West. Expect to see 2 of those 4 teams in the Western Finals. Hey, that's strong. That's strong, and those are all strong teams. The great thing about the brackets is now you can try to, if you're one of those teams, you start looking at your pathway. I remember in 2015, I was at Myers Park, and we got a favorable draw in the bracket. I remember we had Olympic first, and then we went to South Caldwell. And we had lost to Olympic earlier in the season, but it was a close game. So that rematch, and you'll see that theme come up here. It's hard to beat a good team twice, and we were a good team. So we made the adjustments. We were able to beat Olympic in the first round, and we went to South Caldwell. We had some athletes, and South Caldwell had a little bit of trouble in the back end, and our athletes got into space, and we were able to win that game. And then we faced Mallard Creek, and we hung in there for a half. But the pathway is really important now when you're one of those teams expected to really, do some things. So it just depends on all of that, man. So with good comments. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll jump right back into the brackets here. We got, 13. We got East Forsyth hosting Southeast Guilford. We know East Forsyth is a very talented team. They've gone deep in the playoffs the last couple of years. I believe they've won a couple of state titles, if I'm not mistaken. Someone correct me if I'm wrong on that. But a little lower seed than they have been the past couple of years. And then Southeast Guilford, traditionally, I believe, is a wing T team. So that's going to be an interesting Forsyth versus Gastonia Greensboro matchup. And the winner of that game will take on the winner of Ardrey-Kell and Northwest Guilford, hosted by Ardrey-Kell. Ardrey-Kell won big last night over Berry, and they got the number 1 spot out of the conference based on their higher RPI between Myers Park and South Meck. I saw somewhere someone said they won a draw. They did not win a draw. The RPI broke the 3-way tie. I just want to make that very clear. When you look at Ardrey-Kell, I saw them 2 weeks ago against Olympic. You start offense, y'all. You got to start with Jack Curtis. doing a great job leading those guys. Had a big night last night. And then for Studi at receiver, he's a sneaky good talent. He's one of those guys that you look at him getting off the bus, you don't think much of him. But when he gets on the field, the thing I love about him, well, actually two things. Runs great routes, has great hands. That's going to be a guy that makes a lot of things happen for them on offense. And then defensively, a couple of kids I like. I love the defensive lineman Watson. I believe his first name's Kyler. And then Angulo at safety. Really fun kid to watch. I love the way he plays the game. Kind of a throwback box rover type kid at safety. So excited to see that matchup. All right, we'll move to the other side of the bracket. We've got number 3 Weddington hosting number 30 North Mech. North Mech gets in despite the loss to West Charlotte. They were one of the final teams to get into the bracket. And I thought that West Charlotte game would be a little closer. West Charlotte kind of walked the dog with them a little bit last night, but they got another chance. And that's all you can ask for this time of year. And they're going into a place in Weddington where they know winning. They know this time of year. So you got experience versus, a little inexperience. North Mech hadn't been in the playoffs in the past few years. But this is a great job by Coach McKee in building that program and taking another step this year. The key is going to be for North Mech. Can they find a way to get some matchups against some of their best players in one-on-one situations? Big plays for the North Mech offense. That's going to be the key. They're going to have an ability to make those when they get the opportunity against Weddington there. For Weddington, number 1, no turnovers. You give North Mech a short field. They have some guys that are capable of winning some of those one-on-one matchups in those situations because they're going to take shots. So you got to, make them earn it. No big plays. Tackle well in space. And then do what they do. Be disciplined. That's one of the big strengths Weddington has had the past few years. And I wouldn't expect them to come out rattled for this game. They just won a big game on the road at Marvin Ridge, 23-18, to win the conference championship. So, but I'm happy for North Mech that they, did, still get in the playoffs here. So the winner of that game will take on a matchup we've seen the past few years. Number 14 Marvin Ridge hosting number 19 Charlotte Catholic. So obviously these two teams played in conference the past 4 years. They're very familiar with each other. They know each other inside and out. Marvin Ridge has played Charlotte Catholic very close in recent times. So I'd expect this to be one of the best games in the first round. You got two talented teams that are well coached. Charlotte Catholic with that pedigree of going deep into the playoffs, obviously, with all the championships they've won recently. That's a heck of a first-round matchup. I mean, I know if you're Marvin Ridge and you're sitting there, you're like, God almighty, we had a great season. We went 8-2. We get a home game, and then we get Charlotte Catholic. Oh, man. But, hey, it's the playoffs. And one of the things that we always say is eventually you're going to have to earn it against somebody really good, whether it's the first round or the championship. So you might as well get it on and, strap it up tight and get ready to play some good football. All right, we got any comments here? Yeah, we got one from Miss Belk here. So Asheville used to be called Lee Edwards, had some great players a long time ago. Oh, choo-choo Justice. Oh, yeah. 6 players on the Shrine Bowl. Oh, man. Asheville football, man. That's great history right there. Thanks, Miss Belk. All right, next matchup, we got number 6 Watauga hosting number 27 Cuthbertson. Our buddy Trey Kavanaugh getting into the playoffs with those guys. I'm going to tell you something. Cuthbertson is a team that you didn't want to see if you were a higher seed because they're battle-tested. They've been in close games. They had some situations with the pandemic. They moved some guys around. Now, I don't know for sure, but they're probably at full strength now. And this is a scary matchup for Watauga. Watauga is a team similar to Charlotte Catholic. They run a system that they've run for years. And that's the big key for Cuthbertson. It's a run-based system. So you got to come in there and you got to be disciplined, know your keys, and stop the run, first and foremost. Now, Cuthbertson has some athletes. I think they'll have some chances on offense to take advantage of some of those guys that can get in space and do some special things. This has a potential of an upset. It really does. That Cuthbertson's coming out of a real tough conference in the Southern Carolina. We've seen really good football in Union County. It's just going to be a key of getting the right game plan to slow down that Watauga system on offense. It's a big key for Cuthbertson right there. The winner of that game is going to take on the winner of number 11 Northern Guilford hosting number 22 Lake Norman. Lake Norman just lost a tough one to Mooresville. And they're going on the road to Northern Guilford. I can tell you right now, I did not do my Northern Guilford research, but I will by Wednesday. But, my quick thought is, of course, Lake Norman runs a great system for the playoffs when it's starting to turn cold. And you got to be able to run the football because it's a little tougher to throw it. And then Northern Guilford is obviously going to have to be disciplined when you play that triple. Lake Norman, I think they're not as dynamic in the triple this year. They don't have that guy that can, be dynamic with the football necessarily out in space. They're more methodical this year is the best way I can put it. But they're still very good, players in that system. All right. Next matchup in the next little section of the bracket, we got number 7 Hickory Ridge, Greater Metro 4 champions, hosting number 26 AC Reynolds. From what I know about AC Reynolds, of course, they're well coached, but they're a younger team this year. A little bit of youth in some key spots for Reynolds. Obviously, with Hickory Ridge, they've got talented seniors. And then they got, of course, Christian Hamilton, the best 2023 kid in the state. But there's one thing right here for Hickory Ridge. The last couple of years, they've, lost in this round, in the first round of the playoffs, when they've had, talented teams. And I know one thing that Coach Jupiter Wilson is going to do, he's going to make sure these guys are ready and tuned in, and that gas pedal's going to be to the metal, because they've got a team that I think is a dark horse, to a state championship. We've seen these guys go toe-to-toe with Chambers, who is a, of course, legitimate title contender, and we've seen what Chambers has done to other teams. So they're there. They're on that level. But they got to come out strong, and they got to send a message that they're not that same team they have been the past 2 years in the first round. And I feel like, they're set up to do that here. The winner of that game is going to take on the winner of number 10 Chambers, who's hosting number 23 South Caldwell. Now, I just mentioned, ironically, South Caldwell when I was talking about my story when we made a run at Myers Park a few years back. From what I know about now, times have changed a little bit. Coaching have changed. But from what I know about South Caldwell, they're tough kids. They're not going to be scared of Chambers at all. But at the same time, Chambers has a big athletic advantage. I expect Chambers to use that advantage in this game. They're going to try to get kids in space to put the ball in their hands real quick. They're going to make South Caldwell make tackles in space. And Hollywood, I'm telling you, I just saw the last highlight he posted. He is taking his game to another level. And that's what the great ones do in the playoffs. And, I'm sure he's ready. This is a good matchup for Chambers, in my honest opinion. Now, defensively, they're going to have to do a good job of at the line of scrimmage. South Caldwell traditionally does have some big guys on the line, and they will get a little nasty coming off the football. So they're going to have to meet the challenge there at the line of scrimmage. But I do like, Chambers athletes here in a big way. All right. And then, of course, you can't help but, look at that and say you got a potential Hickory Ridge Chambers rematch hosted at Hickory Ridge in the second round that I'm sure a lot of people would want to see, for sure. Okay. All right. Next on the bracket, we got number 15, Reagan. They are hosting number 18, Porter Ridge out of Union County. This is a great matchup because you got contrasting styles. Everything I know about Reagan, they are spread, they throw it, and they, do not hide it. And in Porter Ridge, we know traditional triple from a gun. They have mixed in some other concepts. They're not strictly triple, of course, but base offenses are, contrasting styles. This could be a really fun game. One of the most fun games to watch in the first round, in my opinion, just strictly off of the types of offenses these two teams run, in my opinion. The winner of that game will play the winner of number two Grimsley, if I can talk. Hosting number 31 Cox Mill. Congratulations to Coach Baker, one of the last teams in the field. It's great to see that progression for his program early in his tenure. That being said, this is a tough reward to go up to Grimsley. Now, the one thing I will say is we've seen Cox Mill give Hickory Ridge a lot of trouble. I mean, they were up 17-7 pretty deep in that game before Hickory Ridge turned it on and ultimately won that game. So they can play against really good teams. The question is, can they sustain and make it a four-quarter game here against defending state champions? Of course, they got a heck of a defensive line up at Grimsley. And that's going to be the key for Cox Mill. Can you slow those guys down enough to execute what you want to do on offense? Because they got a few. I know everyone knows about Travis Shaw, but there's some other guys that can go up there. And they've got athletes. They spread it out on offense. They got a really good quarterback in Alonzo Barrett, who has picked up several offers. I saw him, last season when they played Butler. Grimsley does some nice things on offense too. They can run it. When they throw it, they get the ball out quick. It's almost, I don't know if it's just a game plan thing, but it's almost kind of like a West Coast type of thing where the ball is, catch and throw rhythm from gun or a three-step drop, nothing more than that. Guys catch the ball really well. They turn up field to get yardage after the catch. They're a well-coached team. A well-coached team up there in Grimsley, and they are a legitimate title contender, like Markel said earlier. All right, so that is 4A West, and like I said, when I posted this, we're focusing on the West tonight. Let's see, Scott Curtis in with a comment. My favorite piece of the bracket, bracket of death with 6 great teams. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's 4A. I mean, it's always been that way. It used to be 4AA, was crazy, but now everyone together, yeah, you got the best of the best going up against each other. But that's how it should be. That's how it should be. All right, we're gonna go and we're gonna switch, and then we're gonna kind of breeze through the other brackets because it's Saturday night, and I don't want to keep y'all too long. I appreciate everybody watching. That's been watching so far. So games to note in the 3A West, we got South Point and Belmont hosting Eastern Guilford, 16-17 matchup. Winner of that game is going to play the winner of Pisgah and Southern. I presume that's Southern Guilford. Yep, Southern Guilford. And there you go. All right. Good luck to South Point. We'll be pulling for you guys. Tyson Riley, get it done, baby. It's playoff time. One of my favorite guys that I've interviewed. really great running back down there in Belmont. So we got Forest View in the field. A big win over Stewart Kramer solidified their spot last night. 25 seed, they're going on the road up to the mountains to take on number 8 Asheville Irwin. Upset potential. Irwin, very good team. They're one of the mountain teams that's kind of dabbled with the spread. So a little bit of a different dynamic. They're not your traditional mountain team you would think about. But Forest View strong on defense. And then offensively, they've been getting enough to get it done. Anytime when you're a strong base defensive team, you have a shot. And I think Forest View has a good shot in this one. You look at Irwin on the season, 6-4, 4-2 in conference. They've given up more than they've scored. 229, they've scored 256, they've given up. This is a matchup ripe for upset. I like Forest View to go on the road and get it done. Talented seniors, Jacob Neely, Cam Reed. I'm pulling for you guys, man. All right, winner of that game gets the winner of number 9, Parkwood, another friend of the show, Coach Gittens. Great job turning that program around into the playoffs solidly, hosting a game. And they're hosting number 24, Rockingham County. Parkwood, I like them. Cam Enos at the quarterback spot. The Mobley kid at receiver. Talented guys. I like them here. I like them to move on against Rockingham County. Now, Rockingham County, in their own right, tough team. 5-4 on the season. Finished 4-3 in conference. But from what I know about them, they're tough. They're tough-nosed kids. Coached well. Brad Baker, head coach, used to be head coach at North Mech a few years ago. They're going to be ready to go because Coach Baker will get those guys, and he's a hard-nosed guy. That's going to be a good football game right there. All right, more games of note. Coach Glass at Hickory. Great job so far turning those guys around. And I say so far because they're going up as a 21 seed to Smoky Mountain. 12 seed, Smoky Mountain, good football team. But I think, Coach Glass has a shot here. Smoky Mountain 7-2 on the season, 5-1 in conference play versus Hickory. Coach Glass 6-4, 5-2 in conference play. But I feel like Coach Glass is going to have those guys ready and fired up. Rico Walker, big star player for Hickory. Best, like I said earlier with Hollywood, best players raise their game in the playoffs. I have no doubt that talented young man is going to find a way to put his best on the line for those red tornadoes out of Hickory. All right, a couple more comments. Markel Rowley, no. Definitely no more diluted playoffs. that's for sure. Let's see. Also, Markel, West Charlotte may not go all the way, though they will be an absolute nightmare to any and every team they play these next few weeks. We're getting to West Charlotte. I'm going to have some thoughts real quick on them. And yes, Miss Belt, go Forest View. I'm a Forest View Jaguars fan. In their game on Friday night. All right, so let's see. More matchups to note. There's Crest earning the top seed from the Big South 3A with their win over Kings Mountain. They are hosting number 29 Carson. I like Crest in this game. I like them big. Mari Adams is really getting it done on the ground. What a player. What a player. So the winner of that game will play the winner of North Lincoln and West Rowan. West Rowan getting the number 2 seed out of South Piedmont Conference going up to North Lincoln. North Lincoln, a very, very well-coached team. 8-2 on the year, 6-1 in conference play. Their head coach, Nick Basil, is well-known around the area, and they do a great job with that team up at North Lincoln. So West Rand's got their hands full in that one. All right, other matchups of note, going to the other side of 3A West. There's West Charlotte, we just talked about, number 6 seed. They are hosting number 27 Stewart Kramer. Cool matchup right here. I love the Gaston and Mecklenburg matchups. For some reason, we don't get a lot of those, and they're right beside each other. I would love to see more of these, but West Charlotte coming in here. They're coming off a big win over North Meck, 6-3 overall on the season. Of course, Sam Griner has done a great job, with those guys, and defensive coordinator Cam Sullivan, who I coached back in the day. Really excited for those guys. They got a good seed. They're going to have a chance to possibly host a couple of games here in the playoffs. Now, Stewart Kramer is no, they're not a pushover. They're not a pushover. 5-5 on the season. They're dangerous. You got two teams here that love to throw the football, and they got guys that can get it done in Josh Mahatha and Justin Rockamore. This has potential to be a high-scoring game. But, West Charlotte on defense, I think they've got enough athletes to run with some of those guys at Stewart Kramer. Big key is going to be containing Rockamore, not letting him get outside the pocket and making big plays outside the pocket on the improvisation. He can be really dynamic with the football. And conversely, Kramer's going to have to find a way to get to Josh Mahatha for West Charlotte, because if they have time, they've got guys on the outside, led by Chance Morrow, that can really go get the football. Winner of that game will play the winner of number 11 seed Kings Mountain, number 2 out of the Big South 3A, hosting number 22 Franklin. Do a little look on Franklin, 6-4 on the year, but they were only 2-4 in their conference. I like Kings Mountain here, plain and simple. Looks like Franklin is playing their best football earlier in the season. Only 2-4 in conference play. I'll dig a little deeper on them, get ready for the show on Wednesday night. But first glance, I like Kings Mountain there. So got potential for a second round matchup of West Charlotte Kings Mountain. That would be something. Kings Mountain coming to Charlotte. That'd be pretty cool. If it happens. All right. Let's see here. Moving on to any more notable games. Oh, here we go. Concord. Tough loss last night. A.L. Brown in the Bell game. But they are a 10 seed, and they are hosting a playoff game for the first time in a while. Congratulations to the Spiders. They got number 23, Tuscola. A little bit about Tuscola this year. 6-4 overall. 4-2 in conference play. They do have some stats. I want to take a look at those real quick because I want to see what kind of team they are. Wow. Pretty balanced. They've thrown it 239 times and they run it 301 times. So definitely not your typical mountain team. They got some ability to throw the football. Got a senior at quarterback in Penland who looks pretty good. Should be a good game here. We know Concord is run, and run some more. If they're able to establish that run game, they have a good chance here. But Tuscola, definitely not your typical mountain team. As I said, more passing, of course, over the years has integrated into the mountains. All right. So those are the notable matchups for our area in 3A West. Let's check the comments here. All right, Tar Heels at Notre Dame. There's a lot of good stuff on tonight, man. I'm trying to finish up because I want to check some of it out myself. Looks like the Mountain Island story. There's a link to it. Go to GastonGazette.com. I referenced that story earlier with the Mountain Island kids. I don't like it. I'm sorry. That shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen, man. But let's see. 2A real quick, and 2A West. We'll go through some notable matchups in our area. Big Shelby hosting Owen. I like Shelby. The winner of that game will get Southwestern Randolph against Polk County. All right, so other matchups here. Let's see. Forest Hill's in the playoffs out of Union County. Congratulations to those guys. Number 25 seed, they go on the road to take on number 8 Providence Grove. Let's take a look at Providence Grove. They're 8-2, 4-1 on the season. Pretty good football team there. So it's like Forest Hill's going to have their hands full to try to pull an upset there. Thomas, quarterback's thrown 20 touchdowns on the season. They got a young man who's almost got 1,000 on the ground as well. They ran 283 times, passed for 161, so about 2-to-1 ratio running the passing. All right, good stuff. I love the playoffs. I love seeing all these matchups that we don't normally see. Community School Davidson, they are the champions of the Catawba Shores 1A 2A conference. They are hosting number 24 East Gaston. When I first saw this matchup, I felt like this was an upset alert. East Gaston, battle tested, took Burns to the limit. Almost had that game won. They did some good things against Shelby. Community schools played in a split 1A 2A conference. This is a strong 2A team. It's at Community School of Davidson. This is one of your upset specials if you're looking for those. I like East Gaston here. I really do. But it'll be a good football game. We got Burns hosting McMichael. Burns at 12 seed, McMichael at 21. McMichael 7-3 overall in the season, 5-1 in conference play. What kind of team are they? Getting at the stats, they've thrown it 147 times and ran it 332. So definitely a run-first team with multiple guys touching the football in the run game. That's going to be the big key for Burns in that one. Well, sorry about that. It's the blackout screen again. It's my fault. I hit the wrong button. But anyway, we got through all the teams we wanted to talk about in the West. Between the Lines will happen on Tuesday featuring specific matchups. Then Football Focus Weekly will do our normal review, and then we'll get into specific matchups once again with the whole crew on the show. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll see you on Tuesday night Between the Lines.